Hey everybody, I'm Brandon Goji, and today I'm going to give you guys a tour of my current garden. As you can see right here, I have some avocado trees growing. This one is the second largest avocado. It's doing alright. It's most certainly not easy to grow avocados in Michigan. So here's a goji berry that apparently started growing on its own. I did not expect that at all. It looks a little, I don't know, damaged. Here's some basil. Basil's not doing too bad. It was blooming, but I keep picking it off and eating it because it tastes so good. Here's another avocado. I threw a supplement on top of the pot and it almost killed the plant, but surprisingly it grew back. And that little stringy plant you see there, that's a lentil. Turns out you can grow lentils from the grocery store. This tall guy right here is my main avocado tree that has come a long way. It's gone with me from an apartment back to the house a few times. It almost died, but came back thankfully. I started using some cutting edge nutrients on it and it's starting to get better. You can see where all the old leaves are and where all the new ones are. It's got a really incredible red color to the leaves. It's really beautiful actually. But yeah, it's got some new growth. It's doing good. And then there's this pineapple thing. Let's kick it. So these are dates. I decided to try and grow some dates, and I put them in a date pot, basically. And they turned out to eventually grow, even after not watering them for a couple months. And this cat is definitely afraid of the camera. I never knew a cat would be afraid of a camera. She legitimately looks away when I film her. The dates seem to be growing, surprisingly. These are all going to go indoors once winter comes, obviously. So here's the greenhouse, the garden. A lot of work went into that. So let's get a little bit closer so you guys can see what's going on in there. First plant we're going to look at is my goji berry. Well, one of them. Got a few, obviously. It's my name. It's starting to bloom a little bit. This one, not so much. For some reason. I gave it some bloom nutrients, so maybe it will help promote growth. Then here's a mess of tomatoes. I think these are pear tomatoes. I found some old pear tomato seeds, so I'm trying to grow them. Everything's a little bit late to grow, but that's alright because it makes it fun. We'll see what I can get before winter comes along. Hopefully I don't get any more end rot on those tomatoes. I doubt it though. Look at that mess. So here's some more tomatoes that are growing in a fabric pot. Originally the pot was for strawberries, but I decided to put these in instead. I wanted more bang for my buck, basically. Everything's doing pretty good, considering I planted them a month or two late. Really well, actually. Then you get back here. Yeah, so there's the strawberries. The old strawberries. They'll keep growing. That's a Angelica. Angelica, Archangelica. It's got some really nice seeds that bloom. And back there with the purple flowers is Anise Hyssop. It has a really nice aromatic smell to it. So these right here are honeyberries. I burned the heck out of them. I tried to give them some bloom nutrients and burned them, but that's alright. Now I know, so I won't go through that again. It apparently hit my mulberry tree too. Whoops. So here's a closer look at the hyssop. I can't begin to tell you guys how amazing it smells. And it turns out that it's a really good pollinator. The bees just love it. So it's just an incredible shot right here. This is what we need gardens for. We need to make sure that we support the bees, especially with all the crazy nonsense that's going on right now, with all these, quote, scientists poisoning our bees. Sadly, I haven't seen many honeybees and only bumblebees around here, but I'm glad that we at least have those. This is the first year the plant bloomed, actually, and it produced a lot. So in that pot is a mulberry, and then there's some lettuce. I went to eat some, but apparently I still had some fertilizer on it. Definitely not organic. I ended up spitting it out. This is what I thought was a zucchini. Turned out to be some sort of gourd, which is fine. Still probably edible. If you didn't know, you can use those stalks as a straw, which is kind of a organic option for using straws instead of plastic. This is obviously grapes. These grapes are in fabric pots right now, but I'm going to change that soon. I'm actually going to put those in the soil and see if I can get them to grow better. Because when they're in these pots, they don't seem to grow much, and they seem to get a lot of stress from it. I'm not really a fan of growing in fabric pots anymore, actually, because it just seems like it's just trouble all the time. And all that eaten up leaves right there, that's from Japanese beetles. Those things are terrible. They'll destroy your entire garden, so be very careful when you find those. Do not be afraid to kill those. So there's the stem of the plant. It's not too bad. It's producing a little bit, but I'm really disappointed that I'm not getting more. So these are my 2 apple trees. These are my apple trees, personally. The rest of the trees that I have are going to feed the bee. So I'll probably plant them somewhere in Detroit. I'm not really sure where, because there's no way I can plant all of them on my land. But if you see that stem a little bit, it's almost like a bonsai. So I thought about bonsaiing one of them, but then again I don't want to. And obviously these plants are ready for new pots, which means I need to find a place for them in the ground actually, instead of pots. I was trying to hold off until I got my own place, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I'll just plant them at my family's house for now. Well, forever. I'll just start some new ones at some point. I think this one as well. Yeah. Yep. It needs to get planted ASAP. Somewhere. I'll find a spot and I'll show you guys. Oh yeah, and then there's tomato weeds growing, which is really good. I'm happy about that. The best weeds are edible weeds. Here's some more tomatoes. They're really tiny. I think that's a super bush. And you can tell it's small because it's growing right next to the kale. It's incredible how small it is. And then behind them are some black beans with really nice purple flowers. And then one more grape. So what I'm going to do with my grapes is have them both vine across towards the entrance of the greenhouse and then upwards and then across one more time. At least that's my goal. If you see that little stalk right there, that tiny little guy, that's another apple tree. And then there's other apple trees in there too. They're kind of crowded by the grapes right now. There's some little basil. All the basil that I have are from seeds from my farm in Detroit from last year. There's part of that wild tomato that's taken over. And then I'm cloning Gojis. All I do is I cut the top off of a plant and I just stick it right back into the ground. And they're growing, which is really cool. So I'm hoping I have a giant wall of goji berries. I'm hoping that my entrance is just a giant forest, basically. So usually you'll see the leaves die off, but they are alive. Now here's a weed that's growing in one of my goji plants in a fabric pot, and it's so hard to pull out. Like, oh my gosh, I wish I could describe it, but I think you can kind of tell just from me trying to pull them out how annoying it is. I don't even know what type of weed that is, but I definitely need to get it out before it takes over. And when I pull my weeds, I let them sit on the side like that and dry out, and then all the nutrition goes back into the soil. It's a permaculture method. Works really well, but you gotta be careful with some of the plants that are seeding, or sometimes the roots will actually get hold and grow again. So I have a few more goji clones that are growing in the fabric pot, and it works really well. I highly suggest trying to clone your goji plants instead of buying them. Just make sure you keep them moist. And this goji is blooming really well, finally. I think it's because it's under so much stress, so I'm actually okay with that. Because when a plant gets under stress, its only goal is to produce seeds to keep it going. So yeah, I should have some homegrown goji berries soon, which is cool. I'm actually going to take this out of the fabric pot. It's obviously ready for a new home. These are aloe vera plants that do not like the soil they are in. They just look miserable. Actually, they don't look too bad in this video, surprisingly. Here's more basil. I love basil. Everybody should love basil. It's really good for you. And when you grow basil, grow it by tomatoes. Grow all of your salsa ingredients next to each other. All the plants actually help each other grow. They feed each other different nutrients and they pull up different ones. That was a cool thing to discover. One problem with the greenhouse that I have right now is nature getting trapped in it. Surprisingly, there's not many in here right now. The first month it was really bad. Oh my gosh, it was like torturing nature. So many bugs. Here's a tree frog. Oh no, where'd it go? Aha. So that's on a tomato plant. We have a lot of tree frogs where I am. I think it's a Michigan thing. We get a lot of them. Plus we live next to a swamp. So at night it's just really loud with frogs. Sometimes it's actually too loud and you can't sleep. But this little guy is cool. So we'll leave him. I'm sure he helps with the ecosystem in some way. I'm just not entirely sure how yet. So maybe he'll make that tomato grow better. Here are some weeds that I need to pull. I don't know what it is, but it's a really annoying weed. But it's easy to deal with, so I'm not too worried about it. It drops some sort of berries, but I really don't think they're edible, and I wouldn't dare try. Next to it is plantain. So I'm going to let the plantain keep growing and drop its seeds. They're almost ready. You can see some fall. The best garden is a garden that grows itself, because man can only do so much. The only problems that exist in this world are the problems that man has created. So allow nature to grow on its own. And that's a pumpkin. And I think it killed my tomato, but I'm not sure. Something else must have gotten in there and just burned it out. It almost looks like it just got too much nitrogen, so maybe an animal got in there and peed on it or something. But yeah, there's a giant pumpkin growing in my greenhouse. It's actually because of my table next to the seeds. I'll process seeds and accidentally drop them, and they start growing, which is totally fine. I love growing weeds that are edible. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. That's it for this video. I'll show you guys more of my garden soon. I'm working on a compost video and a seed collecting video, so there will be links in the description if you're interested in that. Hit subscribe if you're new. I do a lot of gardening videos. Hit like. You guys know what to do. It's YouTube. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.